Hey guys, I'm here in the southern part of Cleveland National Forest, just east of San Diego. And in this video, I'm going to show you the turn-by-turn directions to do the Big Laguna Loop hike. Now, there's a lot of beautiful trails around here. And if you look at other guides, there's other versions of this loop. This is going to be my version that I feel brings out the highlights of the area. It's going to take you to Laguna Meadow and the lake over here, which is beautiful. We're going to go onto a mountain peak. We're going to get a beautiful viewpoint into Anza Borrego, and we're going to hike on the PCT. So that's what I'm going to show you. It's about 11.5, 12 mile hike. Not too hard, not too easy. Really, really beautiful. And there's a ton of other trails here if you want to come up and explore. I've been lucky enough to spend the last, 2 months or so up in the high country around San Diego. Tons of beautiful, beautiful trails, beautiful country. Highly recommend checking it all out. But if you want to do this hike, I have a full guide on Hiking Guy where I have the parking information, the maps, everything you need to know to do the hike. Now, as you're watching these turn-by-turn directions, if you could do me a favor and click the little thumbs up, it's an easy way to say thank you for the video. Helps other people find the video, helps my channel, so it's a win for everyone, and all you got to do is just move your little finger like that and click it. So thank you in advance for that. But otherwise, let me show you how to hike to this very, very sweet spot up here. All right, so from the start at the Penny Pines trailhead right here, there's two parking areas, one on the east, one on the west side. You're best served by parking on the west side and then starting the trail right here. And we're just going to go down and head through this gate. Now, this used to be cattle country, so you're going to see a lot of gates, especially on the first part of the hike. And you'll see a trail board for the beginning of the Noble Canyon Trail right here. Now that's a great trail too. I'll do a guide for that at some point. That's a really fun one. It's also a national recreation trail, but we're going to leave it shortly after the start. That goes straight Noble. We're going to go on the Big Laguna Trail. Now, one of the cool things about the Big Laguna Trail and the trails in this area is that they have their own little badge there, their own little logo or something. So when you're looking at the trail signs, they're all really well marked and they have those neat little badges down there. Now, after the beginning, another little gate here. The beginning is pretty mellow. We're just going to go through this brush and scrub until we get down to Laguna Meadow. Here's another trail sign, and there's a little connector trail off to the right connecting with the Noble. We're going to go straight here, go straight through on the well-marked Big Laguna Trail, and keep on heading straight down here. And eventually we're going to come up to the top of the Laguna Meadow. Now we can go down either side, the west side or the east side. And this guide, I'm going to take you down the west side on the other side, because I like crossing over where the lake is and checking that all out, which is pretty cool. And we're just going to go straight here, and you're going to get some pretty nice views straight down Laguna Meadow. And if you go to the article on Hiking Guy, I have a picture from 1931, roughly from the spot, and it looks pretty much the same, so it's kind of neat. At the end of the other side here, the Sunset Trail is going to break off to the right. We're going to continue on the Big Laguna Trail, then head down along the side of Laguna Meadow down towards Big Laguna Lake. And this part's really pretty, real flat, a little downhill. Some remnants of the old ranching are here, but otherwise it's just like a pretty mellow meadow that you're going through. And eventually you're going to come down to the lake here. When I did it, this was sunrise on this trail report. It was full of ducks and all kinds of animals. Really, really beautiful, beautiful spot. Now at the end of the lake, we're going to make the hard left. And we're going to cross over kind of a man-made dam that the ranchers did here. We're going to go straight across the lake to the other side. And it's nice in this section because you do get nice views up the lake if you want to take a picture. That's the place to do it. And then on the other side, we're going to wind up, and there's a lot of little trails here. You just want to stay on the main trail the whole time. Don't take any little side trails. And eventually it will wind to the east, and you'll see a bunch of other little trails up to the left here, including the trail that went down on the east shore. That will rejoin us right around here. But what we're going to do in this kind of confusing section is we're going to stay on the main trail, which is always on the right. We're going to head straight ahead into that little meadow over there. We'll go straight down here. You can see we've gone all the way, and here's the last trail joining in from the left. And we're going to continue to go straight And now that little confusing section is over, we're leaving Laguna Meadow behind. At this point, we're going to make the right and go over this little boardwalk. Up to the left are some campground areas, so if you're having a bathroom emergency, that's probably your best bet. But otherwise, we're just going to go over the boardwalk, go straight. Shortly after that, we're going to pass a gate for another trail off to the left. We're not going to be taking that today. We're going to continue straight on here. And from here on out, the trail is going to change its vibe. We're going to go from the meadow vibe into more of a hike, basically through the pines, and there's some oaks in here as we wind up kind of on the southern part of the loop up towards the road again. And we come up to this big junction here. It's a big flat junction. You want to make the left onto the Big Laguna Trail, which I think is shared with the Agua Dulce Trail at this point. But then shortly after making that left, you'll see a split. We're going to make the left onto Big Laguna, and that's the Agua Dulce over on the right. And this part is kind of rolling. You're going to start to go uphill very, very gradually, imperceptibly gradual at points, but it's just a rolling, nice, peaceful walk through all of these pines here. At the top of the little gully climb, we're going to cross over the road. There's two quick road crossings. It can get a little confusing, but it is well marked. Once we cross over that road, we pop back out here at this intersection. At the intersection, we're going to go straight. And it doesn't look like the trail did. It's actually wider for, I don't know, maybe a mile or so, but it's still peaceful. There's not cars on this. And we're going to start climbing up. You're going to get views over to Quiameca over there. That's the second highest point in San Diego. I also have a guide for that on the website if you want to do that. It's a neat little hike. And then after a short while on the road, we're going to go off to the left and then get back on a trail. And you saw there was another sign there, Big Laguna Trail, telling us we're in the right place. Now, as we wind around, you're going to see Hot Springs Mountain in front of you, which is the tallest peak in San Diego County. Also have a guide for that on Hiking Guy. Then right in front of us there, Monument Peak and Hayes Peak. Those are our two next stops in terms of landmarks. At the bottom of that little climb, the road is there once again, Sunrise Highway, SR1. We're going to cross that, and then right past that is another trailhead. You'll see some trail magic there. This is close to the PCT. People have left water for PCT hikers. We're going to go up here. We're going to skip the little connector trail off to the right and keep going straight. And at this point, we're going uphill, but it's not a real hardcore climb or anything. It's just kind of a steady uphill. Now, for about a half a mile, we're going to join the PCT. Off to the right, Mexico. To the left, Canada. Now, we're going to be on the PCT pretty much until we get back to the Penny Pine parking area where we were earlier. Once we get on here, we're going to start the climb up a little bit. And again, not too tough, not easy, but not too tough. We're going to look for this little turnoff here, right by the sign. There's a turnoff to the right. Now, this trail, the PCT goes left. You can also just skip this little side trip if you want and get on the PCT. But this is a primitive trail. You should wear long pants here. It's a little bit overgrown, but you can definitely follow it. And if you have the GPS and GPX file, it'll be easier. There's a little clearing here where people have done some camping, but we're going to go straight through there, continue to bear right on the smaller trail, and you're always going to be heading towards Monument Peak, which is covered in the radio antenna, so you can always kind of look for that as a landmark. And as you go up, we're going to join this bigger, small trail here. You get your first views down into the desert mountains as we approach the summit area up here as we join this trail. We're going to come back down this way. When we get up to the fence and all of the equipment, we're going to make the left along the fence, follow the fence around until we get to the paved road, then make the left on the paved road. Now, I almost always see workers up here. When I did this trip report, somebody asked me where the bathroom was. Not too bad. It's only a short stretch until you get to the summit. Then once you get to the summit up here, we're just going to make the right onto the little dirt section to hike up to the actual summit area away from the radio towers. And here we are on Monument Peak. Now there's, I think, 33 or 36 Monument Peaks registered in the U.S., so this is just another one of them. But the views here are spectacular. You can see Kiameka up there, Hot Springs Mountain, and then Anza Borrego and some BLM land. The views here are incredible. Really, really beautiful views down this area. Now when you're done, we're going to go back to that last junction where we came up on that small use trail, and we're going to go straight. We're going to go to Hayes Peak, which is that next one. Now this section of trail is also small and hard to follow, but it is there. And again, if you have a GPS with a GPX file, it makes it a little bit easier. But the trail is there, and you're kind of stuck in between a cliff on the right and the steep downhill on the left. So it's pretty easy to figure out where you're going as you climb up. Now this is Hayes Peak. There's a little register here sometimes. The trail back down is back a little bit from here. So you're just going to backtrack for about a minute or two and then look for a trail to the left that goes down the hill. And this is probably the most primitive, and there's a dozen use trails that are going down here, but you're going to look for the trail heading down, and you'll see the PCT. It's only about a quarter of a mile down here. It's easy to get lost, but eventually you'll see the PCT. And you're just going to make the right, and from here on out, no more small use trails. This is just the thoroughfare from Mexico to Canada called the Pacific Crest Trail. Over here, there's a little area to the right with a viewpoint and a camping area. We're going to stay on the PCT. There's actually dozens of little hidden dispersed camping areas for PCT hikers along here, so it can get confusing. Here we are at a trail. It's well marked as we come through this junction. Not somewhere we're taking. Basically, if your trail dead ends into a camping area, it's a camping area. If it's marked, it is a trail junction. Just like here, we're going to bear to the right. At this point, you're going to see the road coming up in front of you. This is actually called Flathead Flats here, which is such a great name. But we're going to go up and around over here. You're going to get some nice views back to the area where we came down off of Hayes Peak down there, or up there. Really beautiful area, it kind of hugs the line here. Now we're going to come over to a side trail to Foster Point. We're going to go down here and check out Foster Point, a really neat viewpoint with this little sundial type thing, rangefinder, where it lists all the peaks you can see in the distance. This was named after the founding members of the San Diego chapter of the Sierra Club, the Fosters. When we're done here, just go back, but instead of going back on that first trail, we're just going to take the straight trail right here and cut straight back through, back to the PCT. This is a popular short day hike from the highway, so there'll be a lot of little use trails around here, but it's pretty easy to follow straight back, and then once again, right onto the PCT for the last couple of miles back to the end of the hike. And you can see, have beautiful views down the escarpment down there into Anza and the BLM lands, Whale Peak. You can see up to San Jacinto. There's Hayes Peak, back where we came. Really, really beautiful views along the section. One of my favorites as we go here. And we're going to wind back towards the highway. We have a little dip, couple rolling sections of ups and downs before we come back up along SR1, the highway. And you'll pass this little overlook area here where people can hop out of their cars and check it out. Down the canyon there, Storm Canyon. Really beautiful views as you hike along the stretch. There's also a little bench. Sometimes you see people coming down from the cars here. This, as far as some people hike into the area, down to this bench and back, but really beautiful. I'm going to keep going. We're going to sort of leave the road behind, and I wanted to show you this area. This is a really good example of a very cool campsite here. Look at this little hidden campsite off to the side there, and then you walk out of the campsite, and this is your view where you can drink your coffee. Very cool spot if you were hiking the PCT to camp. And we're just going to continue up. More great views. We're going to go through this little junction right here. It was actually marked illegal trail, which was a new one for me. But there is a PCT sign right after that. We're going to continue up on the PCT along the side between the cliff and the highway. Soak in the last of the views here as we go down. There's some beautiful wildflowers down there on the day I did this hike. I'm going to keep going straight until we reach around 12 miles or so, and then you're going to see a turnoff. PCT continues right. We're going to make the left. And then in a minute or two, you're going to pop out on the other side of the road from where you started. at the Penny Pines trailhead area. And that's the loop. Beautiful, beautiful hike. So that's it. It's a fun one. Definitely recommends coming down here and doing it, exploring the area if you have not already. Now, if you hang out for a second, I'm going to show you what this hike looks like on a 3D map, but otherwise I will see you guys out on the trails. Bye. All right, so here's the hike route. We're going to do this in a counterclockwise fashion. And the hike starts right down here, the Penny Pines parking area. You can see we come down from the trailhead. Here's Noble Canyon going up there. We split off from that. We wind around a bit. Let me swing this guy around. Come down to Laguna Meadows, which is right here. I mentioned there was a trail down the east side. You can see it there. These satellite photos are from a warmer month. The water does disappear. It does get kind of brown in the middle of the summer. So try to get here in the spring or the winter. It's much nicer. We come down the west side of the meadow. Here's the lake with a little bit of water left in it. And then here's the hard left turn where we cross that dam. And I mentioned this was a little tricky. You kind of come up to the north. You can see some of these little side trails coming in and out. We basically just wind around. Here's that east trail coming back in over here. Here's the split where the boardwalk is. And then this is where that little gate went into there. But we're going to wind around. And then this is the section where we enter the pines. And it kind of rolls a bit. Really pleasant, really mellow, shady as we come up here. We have that road crossing, and then right after that road crossing, we actually hop on the road. If I zoom in here, you'll be able to see that a little bit better. There's that road where we come out of those trees, and we go on the wider road right over here. And then from there, we're doing this little uphill. We get to the top. This is where we had the views of Kiameka, Hot Springs Mountain. Do a little descent back over the road, and then half a mile, and we're up to the PCT. We get back on the PCT, and you can see here, if we want to skip that little side trail, those smaller trails, you can just take the PCT right across to there. But otherwise, we're taking that smaller use trail over here, up around the fence, and then here is Monument Peak, and you can see from here, the views are fantabulous. Look at that. Really, really nice views from Monument Peak, looking out and around. And we're going to trace our way back down to the trail. This was the part where we joined this other trail. We come down here. Now I mentioned this trail here is pretty hard to follow. There's some little use trails. The thing that makes it easy is that you're either you basically have to go straight towards Hayes Peak. If I swing this around a little bit, you'll see what I mean here. You're either going off the steep cliff here or you're going down the side there. So you just follow this around till we get to Hayes Peak. You kind of come back a little bit from the peak, go straight downhill, rejoin the PCT, and we wind around the escarpment here, wind down. Really, really beautiful. Down here, here's Foster Point where we had those views. Down into the canyon, the Storm Canyon, which is here. Wind back around, back down towards the road. And then from here on out, we're basically just hugging the area of land between the road and the canyon wall here. Following this over, right back up to the parking area. And that's it.